Welcome to this Zentangle Quickie. My name is Heather Hartwick Gladden. I'm a Certified Zentangle Teacher. And today we're going to take a look at this wonderful tangle called Dreamcatcher by CZT Daniel Lamothe. And I hope I'm pronouncing your last name right, Daniel. This is a fantastic tangle. I don't know if you could tell from my tone. Oh my gosh, I am enamored with this one. It's just lovely. And just coming off of 2 Tangle Time sessions, so you know, I do both paid and free classes. Thursday is Tangle Time. It's a free class where we explore a tangle or two, and just have fun with it and marvel in what everybody else did. And I tell you, it is better than a cup of coffee. Well, I don't like coffee anyway. Just having my favorite caffeinated drink. I just get so jazzed, and I'll share with you what I did afterwards. But I want to share this tangle. Like I said, it's fantastic. Starts off, and now I'm doing a little baby one. I've done it on 3 different size tiles now with this one. Okay, and I am working on this is a 2-inch by 2-inch bijou tile. I did. Let me back up just a smidge. So I mashed the camera down a little bit so that way you can see. But I do them on these small tiles so that way I can keep them quick versus filling up an entire larger space. All right, so this one starts off with an asterisk. And an asterisk is essentially if you draw a cross or a plus sign and in the center or wherever you want it on your page. And then, actually, it depends on which way you're looking at it. Okay, so that's a plus sign. And then if you kind of draw, I think it should be a little bit bigger, but okay. And then an X through the cross, that's an asterisk. So we have 8 points here. And here's what we're going to do. We are going to put in pointy arches. This is Daniel's term, and I love this term. So pointy arches in between each spokes, but connecting them. Okay, so if you watch, and I'm going to kind of try to do these like so. So I put my pen down sort of in the middle. Let me try again. I don't necessarily put a dot, but if I was, that's what I would do. So I'm eyeballing. Here's the center, drawing it up here. You get to decide how far, how high of an arch you want. That's the best way to say it. And I do have some examples of different sizes, but that's up to you. The hard thing to do then is just to make sure to stay consistent. So, from that middle, I put my pen down, I put a little curve line to the left and then to the right. You can do it to the right and to the left. That's up to you. And then I continuously turn the tile. And now I can work a little bit faster. Again, trying to keep them at a similar height. So if your beginning asterisk is, at least, somewhat even on all the sides, then you can kind of at least measure, okay, how far up from these, the ends of these points am I? And then just continuing to gauge, as you go around. And you know what? And I'm sure you all are saying it right now to yourselves, those that have been watching and have been tangling for a while, know exactly what I'm going to say. There's no such thing as a mistake in Zentangle. It'll all be good in the end, and I will show you. All right, so once we've gone all the way around, then it's basically rinse and repeat. And I use that phrase all the time, and he has it written down on his. I'm like, oh, good, it's not just me. All right, so same idea. But then as you grow out from here, because we're just going to continue to do rounds, and you do as many as you want, stop when you want to, or when you run out of room. But kind of as you go out, they have to be a little bit taller, just so that way they don't end up flat. All right, so here, same idea. This one, at least you kind of have this line that you can, to make it easier to eyeball. And it's just going around and making these curve lines. It does, just like everything Zentangle, it does help to go slow. But this one you can really get in a groove, and I'm not worrying about the fact that some seem to be pointy and some not so much, but that's okay. And then we've gone once around again. Now I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to go a little bit taller here. Say also, I think I overdid it with the smallness, but that's okay. And again, if, just eyeballing. Here's that middle, eyeballing it up here. Starting in the middle and then working to both sides. If it, because like, oh, I could do a curve line like this, but I know, the top part might not be, or even close to center. And like I said, I just find it easier to do. And then on top of it, as you can see, when you're starting, actually starting twice at the same place, it does kind of leave a little bit of a dot, even though for the most part I didn't put a dot on purpose. But then what's neat is I'm aiming for those dots, especially when you're just starting off and you're going to the one side. So like going to the left here is easy, but going here is like, oh, see, I'm aiming right for that place right there. Now something to mention, or that I want to mention to kind of be aware of. Let's see, I'm on 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm on my 4th round. It seems like after the 3rd round, this spiral thing, like what is it called, meta shape, starts to appear. And I didn't mention this beforehand. Sorry, I'm scooting a little bit upwards. But if you notice, as I'm doing these as I'm adding the pointed arch, I'm aiming for the same place, which that it helps with consistency. Well, that one wasn't very high. Having these little points that I'm going to, but the curve, as you can see, here's this curve, here's this curve, and then, so as I'm coming down to those same points, it really helps, and I think it'll start actually popping a little extra here. But that helps to kind of go slow, so that way you can sort of, as long as you're meeting there, it's going to, for the most part, blend in, and it just depends on how that curve is. But even if it's a little bit bumpy, you still see that curve, and it's still absolutely amazing. And then, as I know I found as my eyeballs were moving in the pattern, then I'm seeing all of these other meta shapes appearing as my eyes are moving from one place to another. So like right here, I'm seeing this big, kind of a leaf shape, or kind of a teardrop type shape. But yes, if you can get your curve lines somewhat consistent, like here, I'm like going, wow, that just amazes me. That, wow, look at that. Versus here, but it's all okay. So that is essentially it. I think I could maybe go one more round, but that's one of those things you don't have to. Now, I think I'm going to leave this one like it is, and then share with you what I did on shading, so that way you can see. And I'm going to back this camera up just a little bit. But this, such a fun, versatile tangle. Oh, and before I say, fun, versatile tangle. And if you do it on a larger scale, then it becomes like a reticula, where then you can, which is a structure. So instead of like a grid pattern is a structure, that's a reticula also. But you could put different tangles in each section. You could even small if you wanted to. That's just up to you. But it's just, there's so many different ways that you could decorate this afterwards if you want to. It is just cool as it is. So let me share the first one. Okay, so this was, oh gosh, I have to go even bigger here. All right, so on this is a Zendala. These are all, official Zentangle stuff. And if you are in need of anything officially Zentangle, I do have a store, and that helps support my efforts here. If you are in need and don't have a resource, you can feel free to take a peek there. But so what I did on this one, these were a little bit squattier. So these ones I started off on purpose a little higher. But these ones I did a little squattier, so you can see the difference in the shape. So on this one, I decided I'm going to put graphite around the outside. So I left, of course, the inside blank, but around the outside of the first one, I put some graphite. And then I took a look at it. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Look, it pops off the page. And I thought, oh, I'm going to do that for each layer because it's big enough that I could do that. Because when what you want to have is some of the natural tile color. So whatever tile color you're working with, you need to have that so that way then you get the effect. And I was thinking, well, I could come back a little darker to get that shadow box technique look. So it looks like as if I fussy cut this and put foam tape and stuck it on top. And each layer was like that, like as if it stands up this tall off of the page, but it doesn't. So I started doing that. And I did three go arounds with it on the outside, and then the curve lines just kind of take over there. So I decided, and apparently, oh no, let's see. No, I just did them going the one direction. So I did all of the curve. I'm like, how did I miss these? Oh, it's because I didn't do them. So I did them all just the one direction and put graphite underneath and spread it out just a little bit with the tortillon, and you can see what a neat result that had. So that is one option. Then, let's see. Oh, well, this one is similar. This one I did on a tan, one of our Renaissance tiles. And I because it's tan, I can use the white charcoal as well as the dark graphite. And that's what we call them, Renaissance tiles. There's a whole story behind it. Chiaroscuro, you can look that up. Pitting the light against the dark. So I put the white charcoal on one side and then the graphite on the other side of each spiral, and then carried that in. Actually, I started off with the outside doing an aura and decorating. I thought, well, I'll just put some straight lines in there because that's always fun. Oh, and I actually just realized I'm going to try one other thing with that because I kind of like to do this. We'll do this on a couple so you can see. I'm like, I didn't even shade inside there, and I intended to. I'm going to at least let's just do these two, and I'll finish the rest of them later. But that way you can see. I like it when it looks like these are like inset. And sometimes, oh, look at that. Just doing the one side, because they could do both, but, just doing that one side just has a really neat look. So I'm going to have to finish that now. But what a neat effect, right? And this one really emphasizes the spiral because I did it somewhat throughout. Like, really, the way I did it was backwards, because I started with the outside, and then I thought, oh, well, let's do this, and I did the spirals, and then I did the inside last after looking at it and thinking, oh, well, goodness, we need to, thinking about it, and then this was on our last Tangle time, and my mom was on, and so we're, talking shit. Oh, I think you should do this. I think you should do that. And so then I do, and this was just an experiment done live, and it worked out really well. Okay, so there's that. Then I, because it doesn't take a long time to do this tangle, we could do, I essentially did two during the one call. And so this one, of course, I did it on a black tile. And I decided to use, this is a soapstone. Zentangle doesn't sell these anymore, but I know you can get them at different places. And it's just really nice because it's so much lighter than the white charcoal. And so I put it around both sides. So, looking at this, the big curve, put it on both sides, blended it in, towards the center like that. And isn't that a neat effect? And then used a clear, this is a Jelly Roll brand. It's the clear Stardust. So yeah, no color, just sparkles. And so added that as an aura around and then on the inside. And just adding an aura around the outside is such a neat technique, just finishes something off. And it, doesn't always need it, but it's like, sometimes it's just like, oh, wow, yeah, that looks just amazing. So you can kind of see the nice little blingy sparkles. Last one to share with you. So this was also on a big Zendala. And so this one, I wanted to do more like the Dreamcatcher inspiration that he had. And those, the pointed arches were a lot taller. And so here's the story on this one. And at some point I will have the replays of the class posted. So if you're not a subscriber already, I would love to have you be a subscriber, especially if you're enjoying the content. Would love to have you be a subscriber. After you hit the subscription button, make sure to hit the notification bell next to it so you can decide how you want to be notified, if you want to be notified at all. But I will get the replay of this up hopefully soon. And So it started off with with having to do a course correction, because I think it might have been here, one of these, it wasn't quite tall enough, and I was like, oh, well, I can just fill it in. That's course correction number 1, right? So thinking, well, I'll just fill all those outside ones in. But it looks so cool, because so it was, we'll say if it was this one, I had the original here, and I said, well, let me make these all even to the outside. And I had 3 of them that I needed to do, and I'm like, oh, well, I don't have to do all of them. I can just color it in the one, and the others were similar. The other 2 were similar enough that I'm like, oh, I'm just going to leave it and have this double. And it looks really, really cool. And it's just interesting how having the height on the pointed arch, it makes it a difference. Now, I didn't have room to continue to go out on this because I made it so big, but it looks so cool. And then I decided to just do some, some little hash marks on the inside, so it makes it look a lot more like a flower. They all look like flowers, but and then which is cool, because knowing that it was inspired by a Dreamcatcher, it's just an amazing tangle. Lots of options, lots of cool things that can be done. So let me leave you with this. In the description box, I will have my step out, as well as a link to Daniel's blog, where he has this posted, because he tells the whole story of how he came up with this, and it's just really really neat. And then you can see some of his examples, and just again, it's for more inspiration, and that's why I put it in there. Also in that description box, ways to connect with me if you would like to come and join and be on a Tangle Time and do some live tangling. The link to my website is on there, and you can just click on classes, and I keep the links there. Also, there's ways to connect as far as, like, I post on Eventbrite and Meetup. If you are on either of those websites, both of those are free to join, but I have links there also for those profiles, so that way when I post classes, then you get notified. And so with that, I think that's it. Outside of if you enjoyed it, would love to have a thumbs up, would love to hear your comments. I do try to check them regularly, and and reply and all of that, but would love to hear how much if you do the tangle, would like to how much you enjoy after you've done some. And if you're on Facebook, and I have a nice community on Facebook, Tangle Addicts Community, where we're sharing the work also. So would love to have that. You know what, too? My email address is on my website. So if you want to email me what you've done, I would love to see it, and I'll add it to the blog post and share it with with the other ones that I'm sharing. So anyway, with that long-winded exit, I wish you lots of happy tangling.